Okay, my goal here is to show some code we've been working on, trying to build on the same concept, so I won't explain the concept again. But wouldn't it be great if we could display notices rather than these complex, long privacy policy documents we don't read? We'd like to have some visual display. You saw some good mock-ups just then. The mock-ups I'm going to show you now, this is an actual prototype. We'll see some functionality, but it's based on one of those many projects. I have a list of 15 at the moment. This one's based on some Carnegie Mellon work, nutrition label approach. So here we are. Let's say we're browsing the web. We want to actually see some data, and this one I'll admit is fake. We're at Wikipedia, and we click this little button here. And we get a little summary. The idea is to get a privacy policy summary. For different types of information, in this case, contact information and cookies, how is it shared? In this case, you can opt out of contact information with other companies, but otherwise it'll go by default. And these green things you don't have to worry about. They're not being shared. And also, we can have columns for ways we use information. That design comes from a version from Carnegie Mellon, Patrick H. Kelly, and some good work there. The goal though is like how can we actually get this data? We've seen some different mock-ups. Let's see it on the web. So let me dig a little bit into code so you can see how this is. This is the data for that mock-up. It's just a simple JSON. So we can imagine some sites might be willing to publish this themselves, or we could all crowdsource. We could read privacy policies and mark them up and explain them. This is just JSON. We also have a schema that would explain it, so we could display this for different types of charts, but this schema JSON should help us developing them. But the other great thing I'd like to show is some data is already out there. Microsoft, for example, and a few other companies support this standard, P3P, the Platform for Privacy Preferences Project. This is an old one, an oldie but goodie. This is 15 or so years old, and this data is still kept up to date. Microsoft has this machine-readable XML format about all the data they collect and what they do with it. Unfortunately, most people don't like reading XML documents. So let's see if we can see it in our format. And this is actually going to pull live data instead of my sample. So we're at Microsoft, and I click that same button. And here we can see all the different types of information they collect. Microsoft collects quite a bit. And in this case, I've just filled in the code is drawing the sharing. None of it's going to be shared with the public. You don't have to worry about that, but it is shared with partners. And here are all those different types of data. So that's being pulled from live data. We have some of this data out there. We can get it from crowdsourced or from companies themselves or from P2P that's already existing. That's sort of one iteration on this. I'm really hopeful that we have a lot of great ideas. You've seen some today about how these notices can be better, and we should get to work building them. Thanks to Harik and Beth for some design help here. Mohit Gupta couldn't be here. He helped us with this schema, but that's what we have. Thanks.
Any questions from the judges? Brian, yeah, there's a microphone there. Just make sure the dot's green.
So, can you put that screen back up?
Oh, yes.
So I had a question really about how that adjusts, because in the Microsoft example, there were two things that I was curious about. One is, the ways we use your information is completely blank. What's your sense about how big a challenge it is between what they're publishing and what people want to know?
So there are some limitations to what you can get done in a weekend. So I think that information actually is in that long XML document, but this code doesn't yet have that present.
Great. And is there does that schema link to an ontology or something that explains the definitions of some of those? I was just curious. Some of the terms I saw go by, I wasn't.
Yes, Beth has started us on some documentation. So all this is on GitHub. I would welcome more support. That's how these projects do best. And Beth has started the question of what does it mean for all of these things. And yeah, anyone could contribute to that. But thanks for starting.
Button needs a link to the GitHub doc.
Sorry?
Button needs a link to the GitHub doc.
Yes.
So you can read it.
Next iteration, I promise. Anything else?
Okay. I think we're ready. Alice is going to present, and her group are going to present on Bitcoin.